Designer's Cafe.
It captures people's imagination, I think, first and foremost. Architecture does affect people in ways that maybe architects understand only after a building's built.
People perceive architecture as simply being an object or a vessel within which people are housed. And that's clearly not what our sense of architecture is.
What the hell is an architect? What does an architect do? You know, what is the difference between an architect and a builder?
We concretize the world. We take human activities and we make manifest the physical structures that accommodate all manner of human activity.
The design studio is a place where individual action and individual creativity is measured very directly by the people around them.
When students are doing their job, they're shifting the focus of how we're talking and thinking about architecture.
Before you kind of come to architecture school, you sort of have this idea about objects and things like that, and then once you get here, it becomes all about space and all about occupation. People sort of see a lot, architecture sort of sculpturally, and there's a point at which you stop dealing with objects, sort of things to stare at, and you start dealing with occupation.
I have a lot of friends who find it really hard to understand my schedule here and how we function here and being here at strange hours of the day and working environment and what studio space is like.
And the way of working too,
Yeah.
that's really important.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. And also the idea of being critiqued. Being critiqued is
it's a foreign concept
really,
to a
really
business
foreign
student.
concept. Yeah.
The design studio is a place where students have to perform on their own. They have to create something from their own imagination. They have to create something in response to a set of problems that are either given to them or they have to even invent the problem.
There's no other place that you can get this kind of culture. And we've been together for 5 years, the whole group, right? So we know everybody. Everybody knows everything. It's like a second home. It's like a second community of people who are all struggling with the same questions.
Now, when I worked at home, there was so much lacking in the projects. There's nobody to bounce things off of. The inspiration is at a minimum when you're on your own.
Architecture education in US is one of the best because of this studio system. Always students hang around their own studio and talking, learning from others. That is the most important space for the education of architecture.
It's like they were hating on Robert Moses because he's so insensitive and he tore down neighborhoods and this, that, and the other. It's like, you know what? Get in a car, drive on the West Side Highway, take the Triborough Bridge into Manhattan. And then you will understand what he was trying to do. That visual procession in the automobile, spectacular.
No.
It is spectacular. You're thinking about it now because oh yeah, of course. Now we sit in traffic and we look at it. But back then, the city had to make that transformation.
The great thing about architecture schools is it still takes place in a kind of space where people discuss the work together in a kind of both a personal way, a one-on-one way, and in a very public way. Ultimately, there's a kind of arena, there's a public arena where the work is discussed, where students can present themselves personally to other people and show that they have a stake in the work and what they really think about the work. And that's extremely important, I think, to the development of an architectural project, because that's ultimately how architecture at certain points is really developed in the real world. And it's both an important lesson, but it's also a way in which, you know, through that kind of intensely personal and human contact that the work gets better.
I think a lot of the culture of studio happens at the most random times, like the most random hours.
I hope that, yes. I think the humor adds another level of energy, you know, that you can bring. So you got moments where, you know, we're all like joking around and yeah, we're doing the work and we're joking and we're vibing and whatever. Some guy will come in here like, well, you know, that's why you guys don't get any work done because you're always doing the shit. And you're like, the f you. Go and do your project then and like, you know, live in your little world by yourself. Because the humor brings the interaction and the interaction brings the energy and the energy, you know, creates an output between everybody, you know, that we can all feed off of.
Don't forget, D. The boss.
Everyone stays late, everyone's hanging out and smoking cigarettes and drinking a lot of coffee and not really necessarily at your desk drawing or whatever. Architecture school is a really strange, specific environment. You can't possibly put that much work into something, like hours and hours on, you know, one drawing or whatever, and make it be productive. You know, you could tell an architect that it's due tomorrow and they'll put in the 12 hours and it might actually look the same as if they spent a whole week on it, you know?
I should have gone home earlier than I did because I just like every 5 minutes I would take a little bit of glue and put it somewhere and then stop and figure out what the hell it is that I just did and then start over again, so.
I have this like terrible thing that happens to me that I call the design high, where I can't fall asleep because I can't stop thinking about my project. And it's like I get home and the whole walk home I'm exhausted. And as soon as I like brush my teeth and wash my face and get into bed, I need to go back to studio.
Your health is kind of put on hold to make room for your ideas.
Architects are masochists in some ways. You're in there to all hours of the night. You're cutting yourself at 3 o'clock in the morning. You're rushing to the hospital to get stitched. I mean, you're putting these models together that you're tearing apart and then putting them together again. And then you're going through this iterative process of evaluation that is incredibly personal, but yet also very public. And you're constantly putting yourself on display, opening yourself up to attack and criticism. I mean, it's intense. Why would you subject yourself to that and put yourself through that if you didn't love it?